20% of businesses fail in their first year and 60% fail in their second year. And I reckon the stat for automations agencies will be even higher. And it's not really because the business model is bad, but it's because people are treating it as a side hustle and not an actual business. So this video is going to be everything I wish people told me earlier. And if you followed my 8 rules for revenue, you're actually going to make money. So here are my 8 rules for revenue. Number 1. Run it like a real business. So I know that most of you right now will have learned a lot of the stuff from YouTube, which is great because, as I spoke about in a previous video, a lot of the automation stuff can actually be learned through YouTube. But the business side, a lot of you won't have a clue about. I know a lot of you are young, you're 18, 19, 20, have had no real experience in the actual corporate world or even a business setting. So what do you actually know about business? What have you experienced? Have you worked in the corporate world, in sales? I know I've obviously mentioned this a lot in recent videos, but if you are new to the channel, I've worked in managed services, so a managed service provider, and we sold a whole portfolio of tech, essentially. Now, I say this every single time, so I'm not going to keep going on about the old jobs I had. But that sort of made me understand the business operation side of it, and it's why I sort of managed to there wasn't a steep learning curve for me, whereas a lot of you, it will be quite steep because you might have now learned the automations and it's time to start reaching out and getting your clients. But when you've got that client, you might be thinking, what do I do? How do I act professional here? Etc., etc. It's the service delivery side, which I think a lot of people are going to struggle with, and maybe even the sales side as well. It's the automations, the pipeline generation, like cold email and DMs and stuff that you can probably understand. But when it comes to actually getting on calls with clients, delivering the service, and any sort of operational side after that, you might struggle with. So instead of seeing all these stuff on YouTube about, the automation agency, you might want to start looking into actual business operations, etc., sales and delivery, etc. One thing that actually really annoys me is that a lot of people are saying, so if you're doing automation, your automations agency side hustle, that really annoys me. You don't want to be working in your job. I know a lot of you probably will be. A lot of people still are working in their job. This is what I did. I worked in my job. And I did have that side hustle in the background of the automations agency, but I knew I wasn't going to be staying in this job forever. This automations agency is the one, or the automations business, the AI automations business, is what I was actually going to be doing. It wasn't anything to do. I knew it wasn't a side hustle. I didn't just want to get money on the side. This was what I wanted to do. So I quit my job and I went all in. And I think, there's a fine line of understanding when and at what point you should probably do that. And if I was to give my advice, it's when you realize, okay, this wouldn't make sense for me to stay in my job anymore. It's when that sort of, you understand, you might have just started reaching out and you're getting traction, and maybe you're having calls at night, or you're working from home in your job and you could just jump on a call now and again. You understand, okay, this could work. I'm reaching out to people who have some sort of interest in what I'm trying to sell here. The only thing I'm probably missing is time. And that's what I was missing. It was time. So when it came to leaving my job, and there were some people, maybe like family members or friends, who would say, "You sure that's a good idea? Like, where's your money going to come from?" etc., and would try and sort of not put you down, but they just didn't understand why you'd be doing it. It was a good job I was in. It was double average wage, at least, with commission on top. So people thought it didn't make sense for me to leave my job and start an agency or a business that I actually hadn't brought any money in. But to me, it made perfect sense because it's all I've ever wanted to do. So what I'm trying to say is, fuck everyone else. It's what matters to you and what makes sense to you. If it doesn't make sense for you to be in your job anymore, that's it. You should leave your job and you should go all in on this. And when I say all in, I'm still, what am I? I'm almost a year in. I'm still working 12 hours a day. Granted, it's because I'm doing YouTube, I've got a community, and I've got a couple other stuff on top of this. But this takes up a hell of a lot of my time. And if I didn't give that time to the business wouldn't be able to give what it's been able to give to me, if that makes sense. So here are the core fundamentals. Pipeline generation and retention. What that means, if you guys don't, I know there's going to be people under there that don't understand what pipeline is, but that's basically a whole pipeline of sales, right? So let's say I have a load of leads to reach out to. I reach out to them. They share some kind of, or they've shown some kind of interest. We've jumped on a call. I'd put that into like a CRM, and there's my pipeline. One deal there, deal there, deal there, deal there. I've got all these sort of, all these people that are somewhat interested in the service. So now that's my pipeline. I've generated pipeline, and now it's about retaining pipeline. So right, I've got 4 deals that that I'm potentially working on, even if I haven't had a call with them yet, or if I had a call, you'd put them through different stages, normally at, just like a qualifying stage. So that's still your pipeline. You're qualifying them. They've said yes, or they've said yes to something, or they're getting on a call with you. Then after you've qualified, you'd move it to the next stage, which would probably be like a proposal. You're sending in a proposal. Then it would be like you'd commit it. So let's say you're working on a month by month basis and you want to understand what you're getting in each month. If you feel like one certain deal is more likely to close than another, you'd commit that. Or you could do something called like an upside, or a best case, let's say. So let's say you've got one deal that you're pretty confident you're going to close, but you've got 3 that are in best case that potentially going to close. You're going to focus more on the one that you're committing. You're going to make sure you're doing everything right. Obviously, you want to focus your time on all of them, but you want to make sure you're doing everything right for that one person. Everything's going well and you've committed it, so you really need to get that in that month, and it gives you a clear idea of what you've got that month, how much money you're going to make, how much you can budget for next month, etc., etc. So you want to be generating pipeline, and you want to be retaining pipeline. So you've got them 4 deals. That's not it now. You don't stop your outreach and just focus on them. You've got constant leads coming in, whether that's just from cold outreach, or you're also doing LinkedIn DMs, which I'll show you how you can automate, or maybe paid ads. I've never done it before, so I can't speak too much on it, granted, but you might be doing that. You might just be trying to do some organic stuff like YouTube, any sort of content on TikTok, stuff like that gets you organic leads. Whatever it is, the key fundamental of business is pipeline generation and pipeline retention. The next thing is obviously sales. So once you've got that pipeline, you want to close those people. You want to turn those prospects into paying customers, into clients. So how do you do that? You have to have some sort of, you do have to be good at sales. All right. The thing is, I've worked with people before who think their product and service is the best thing in the world. Say I've sold them a lead gen service, and they think their product service is the best thing in the world. Their ego's too high. So once they've gotten the call, they think the product and service is just going to sell itself. It's not the case. This guy, he was getting on one call, it was really annoying me. Getting on one call, wouldn't follow up after that. He'd just expect them to go on the website and press sign up. And I was thinking, what are you doing? We were on a proof of concept, and this is actually near the start of me starting my automations agency. So at that moment, I was saying yes to everything, right? So proof of concept, he paid for the cost of the system, which is pretty much a free trial anyway. It was like 150 quid, he'd pay for everything. But I was doing it on my Instantly. So whilst also still trying to launch my own or scale my own operations, I was also trying to reply to leads and nurture leads and get them on booked calls and just send this guy's Calendly link, right? So this guy would have his Calendly link, they'd book in a call and they'd get on a call with him and he'd just explain the service, the solution, what it does. It was like some AI hyper-personalized emailing for e-commerce brands. But we were doing it on a basis that he told me that he could close 9 out of 10 clients. He said, it speaks for itself. It does its own thing. And I was like, great. I'll get you the meetings. You close, blah, blah, blah. He closed like 1 out of like 15 meetings he had that I got him. And when I spoke to him about it, I was like, are you following up? What's going on? He was like, no, I'm too old. I haven't got the energy now to follow up. I was like, all due respect, you need to put your ego to the side here. You might think your solution is the best in the world, but people don't know it is until you can explain it and show them results, etc., etc. And that's when you need to get them on the thing, on the solution. There's very rarely I've just shown someone what it does. I've sent a loom of what it does and they go, yep, sign me up. You've got to have that basic knowledge of sales, understanding sales psychology, human psychology, what makes people buy. And I'm not talking here Wolf of Wall Street boiler room sales where you're shoving it down your throat. It's very different. It's consultative sales. It's understanding where they are at the moment compared to where they want to be. And I've got some videos on the channel if you want to look at the sales. I've got live sales calls as well, which just show you sort of the structure of how I do it. But again, that is fundamentals. If you can't sell as a business owner, you haven't got a product or service there in the first place. The next is delivery. So really, hello. There we go. Really important. Delivery. You've managed to get a client over the line. You showed them the system. They're really happy with it. How the fuck do you deliver it to them? How do you do it? So again, I wouldn't have known this. I would have been really stuck. And I'm sure there's so many people that are really stuck on this part of the business. You might have got them over the line, but how do you professionally get someone signed up to a make.com account? You know, how do you professionally hand these stuff over? And I get it. It is tough. Even I took a bit to actually figure out how to get, how to get an automation from my account or an automation and get it plugged into their business. I'm hands down with you. I understand it is frustrating. So I just, again, took what I did in my old job, which was, to be fair, I'd hand it over to projects. We had our own projects team who would handle the project kickoff. They'd handle the updates and delivery side during. They weren't the engineers. The engineers would do all that, but the project team would make sure that everything during the delivery phase was working well and make sure the customer and client was still happy. And at the end, it would be like a project handover call. So 3 parts. Project kickoff, you do half an hour. So in the example of a AI automations business, you'd have a project kickoff where you'd basically do an overview of the scope, exactly what they're having. You'd set up, or at least you'd have the links ready for them to set up Perplexity, and you'd walk them through it. I say Perplexity, this is what I do personally, but any API keys that they'll need, so you can build it on their make.com account. So any API keys, you'd have them sign up to make.com and add you as an admin, so you can go in and start building the automation on their account, and you just have everything set up. So everything that you need in that project kickoff call to build the automation would be done in that call, right? And then at the end, the structure is you'd explain exactly what is the next step. So you're going to start building, and then you start building and you do little updates. If it's a bigger project, completed milestone 1, or if it's a big project, completed this prompt, what do you think? Something like that. You just keep them updated about what you're doing, when you've completed it and how it's going. And then at the end with the project handover, you'd do another call. You'd walk them through the whole system, how it works from start to finish, what they need to do with the front end app. They don't really need to worry about the automation side if you've given them the app, but you'll still sort of walk them through what happens in the back end, but you'll still make it clear that this app is designed, or this automation is designed to pull data in a structured way. So you don't want to overwhelm them with stuff. So you just want to say, look, this is how it works, but you don't need to worry too much about it. This is what you'll do. And you'll run them through, you'll enter information into the app, you'll watch it run, and you'll show them that it's working from front to back. You'll do a Loom video on this too. So they've got, so you've got it documented, and you'll do a document as well for any training they might need. So I do a lot of cold emailing training to make sure they're up to scratch, because especially if they're on my email infrastructure, which I'll get onto in a moment, you want to make sure that they understand. I don't even know what I was talking about there. Completely lost my train of thought and had to take a phone call as well. So I don't know where I was at, but I think I was at something to do with the delivery side, right? So yeah, you get everything handed over in a document. I obviously give them a lot of cold email stuff as well, because a lot of the time I'm selling a lead generation system, which involves a lot of cold email. So I'm giving them training on that as well. With the email infrastructure, a lot of people ask me about this in my community, and it's pretty much straightforward. Well, it's not too straightforward. As you guys probably know, if you follow my infrastructure, I set up a dedicated IP. So I have my own dedicated IP, which allows me to send 100,000 emails a month. I'm nowhere near that. I'm probably at about 30, 40, 50. I don't actually know what I'm on. Quite a lot of emails a month anyway. It depends from month to month. I don't always run the automation myself. So what you could do, you could have them set up on your dedicated IP if they have the right training, if they have your automation anyway, which is really good for deliverability and spam filters, you're going to be absolutely fine in terms of they're not going to ruin your IP and anything like that. So you can have them set up for a full done for you one-time cost. It's not in the thousands, it's just a few hundred quid really. It probably varies from like 300 to 500 quid, probably about 500 quid, or just one time, or they could get set up with the likes of MailScale. Sometimes I have my own affiliate link that gives them 10% off in the first 3 months. It's just not incredible for deliverability. So I always sort of push for my infrastructure. If I'm feeling a bit of tension, I'll just say, look, they offer a done for you service which you can fully own and control and have it all set up with them. Here's the link, go get set up with them. And that's essentially what I do in terms of delivery. And then it's about changing to, or about getting retainers, so you don't start every month on zero. You want to figure out a price that sort of suits you and the client. So for me, it's literally around 300 quid. It's not a lot. And I just manage the infrastructure as and when they need me, obviously with defined service level agreements. So it could be from 8 a.m. till 6 p.m, Monday to Friday, excluding bank holidays. So literally work hours. I will, as and when you need me, I'll come in and help you for 300 quid a month. Change the prompts if you're changing any sort of campaign or your niche has changed, anything like that, I'll come in and help. And you also want to switch to referrals. So after you get a client, you want to say to them, why isn't this working? Fuck it. After you get a client, you want to say to them, look, what's the best way I've helped you here? Stuff like that, ask questions and then say, is there anyone else who could potentially, that you've got in your network that could potentially use this automation and benefit from it as much as you have? Again, more business, referrals, I'm talking about running it like a real business here. And then upsell, really important. So when I was in account management working for a data center services company, I was literally just in the upsell team. New biz was great, but I wasn't in that sort of, it's my first corporate sales role. So I wasn't cold calling, I wasn't good enough for that yet. It was literally just upselling. It was understanding what they have now and what could they potentially benefit from in the future or benefit from now as well. So a great one, the first upsell for me is the proposal generator. Really quick and simple. You give them the app, they just put something in. A big pain point and bottleneck for businesses is the amount of time it takes from having that first initial call to then setting them up with to then actually generating a proposal, writing it all out and getting it sent out. A lot of companies already have a template and they have to change like an executive summary, the quote, everything like that, stuff like this, right? That you can just, sorry, my camera's about to die, which is annoying. I'm on slide 1, which you can upsell to them later on. Now, a great thing about using the proposal generator is that a lot of companies, at the moment, they always use like a tool like Fireflies or Otter to be able to record their phone calls, record their team meetings. So what you could have an app where they upload the transcription. If it's Otter, I think Fireflies has an API. I'm not 100% sure, but if not, you could just have them set up you could export the chat, put it in there, answer a few questions in the app and press generate a proposal, and it will generate a proposal straight away and send it to that client. It's incredible. It's a really good one. And you don't have to sell it. That's not too much. That's an extra, I sell it for about $1,000. So it's, but it's another little win. It's great. And your advantage is AI and automation in this. Why do I have to keep doing this? Your advantage is AI and automation, right? So what I mean by that is that a lot of business owners will have to do everything manually. Now I've got to the point where I've built a system out once, and now I can just run that whenever I want, whether it's invoice sending and collecting, proposal generating, sales automation, stuff like that is just completely automated, and you can run your business on autopilot. And because you're already in that niche, that's already what you're building, you can use your automations to scale your own business and make it a lot easier for you, which is the hardest part, is the operations side of a business. So as long as you understand the fundamental, and then you can automate the main fundamentals and operational side of the business, you'll be flying. Right, slide 2. Mindset makes money. I know a lot of people out there just watch YouTube and never act. And I'd done a whole video when I actually first started YouTube about, it was, a lot of people messaging me saying how motivational it was. There's people in my community who have started their business based off that one video. And it was literally right when I started YouTube, and it's just all about mindset and motivation and why you should start a business. So if you haven't watched it, I'll put it in the link in the description. You can go and watch that one. But stop analyzing. I've put it here. Stop chasing perfection. Stop analysis paralysis. Get out there and fail. Fail so hard that you don't want to get up and go again, but you know you have to. I hate anyone that gives up. I don't hate you as a person. I hate people. I hate giving up. There's a guy in my community who he spoke to me about potentially giving up his business at the moment and what should he do. And I said, look, I just don't think you should give up what you're doing at the moment. You haven't been doing it too long. You got to carry on. You got to be persistent. You got to deal with any sort of adversity with fortitude. You've got to be courageous, and you've got to go out there and do it again. Failing is the only way you're going to learn. Trust me, I have failed so much to the point where you just don't have a clue. This is so crap. I constantly failed at the start. With my cold email campaigns, they're all crap. I barely got any replies. With building automations, I was completely failing. I was building automations that now would take me 30 minutes, took me an hour to do. Not an hour, a week. It would take me so long to do. So it's all about, a lot of you are watching my YouTube right now, and I hope you're out there learning. I hope you're putting in what I tell you into practice, because if you're not doing that, you're not going to win. And the earlier you start, the better. Money loves speed. If I get an idea, I'm doing it straight away. Nothing stops me, because there's other people out there that are competing with you for wherever it's, they're competing for you for money. Everyone's out there competing for money. Everyone's out there competing for business. There's a prospect you've got, but someone else is speaking to them right now. You've got to go out there, act, and do it as quickly as possible and efficiently as possible. A lot of you won't be confident, and I get that, mainly on the sales side and stuff like that. And that's again why I think, I've got some sort of advantage when I started this, but you won't have confidence. And the only way you're going to get confident is from experience, is from doing it yourself, understanding, failing, learning, going again, getting a win and gaining confidence from that, and just building the building blocks of confidence, getting more and more confident. You need to, it doesn't just come from experience. Obviously, confidence does come from a little bit of experience. It comes from execution and actually doing it, right? And I've already put here momentum and speed. I think in that motivational video, I did a good quote, and I'm not going to steal it from the main man, Andrew Tate, because this is where it came from. But he said, he says, you need momentum, because a rocket ship doesn't just go up to space. I love this analogy. A rocket ship doesn't come up to space and just sort of give up and stop halfway through. It needs the momentum from the atmosphere to actually break through the atmosphere. It needs that momentum from the rockets. And then once it's broke through, obviously little bits break off. But the only thing that's made it there is the momentum, is the firepower at the start to just break through the atmosphere. And that's what you need. You need momentum. You need to keep constantly doing it 7 days a week. If you're in this for 5 days a week and you want to work 2 hours a day at the start of your journey, I'm afraid I'm here to tell you that's just not going to happen. You are going to be working 12 hours a day for 7 days a week. And if you're not willing to do that, maybe this isn't for you. I'm a big advocate for hard work. So if you want to be told that it's easy and that you don't need to work so much, I can't tell you that. I'm earning really good money at the moment, yet I'm still constantly working I just don't stop. Am I going to stop at one point? Yeah, but I'm not at that point at the moment. I'd like to get to a point where I work a few hours a week. I'm nowhere near that point, to be honest with you. I need to carry on. I need to break through. I need that momentum. So another thing, I touched on it before, you're not selling automations here, you're selling the results. A lot of people speak about this. It's really common, so I don't want to just... I've just realised what I've put here. I wrote this last night. I just didn't have the time I was too tired to make the video. Who gives a flying Donkey Kong fuck about Make or NAN? No one does, right? They care about the results it's going to get them. Oh, I've put Nate Herc. He cares about NA10, but he is, and I love him. I'm not here to. He's great. He's so good at what he does, and he's absolutely killing it. And he just seems like an absolute nice, genuine guy. So I haven't put that into slate anyone. I do like him, but you yourself shouldn't care so much about the Make or NA10 automations that you're building. Now, this is actually a really big mistake that I made at the start of my AI automation career, was when I was getting on sales calls with people, I was showing them the automation. This is what it does. Look how good it is. It's so cool. It does this, this, and that. Do you know how many deals I closed? Big fat zero. They didn't care. I was honestly, I swear to God, I was sat there chatting to them going, oh my God, like I shared my screen. Look at what this module does. Then it goes to here, then to here. How cool is that? And they're going, no, well, they're thinking in their head, yeah, but what does this actually mean for me? So you need to make them understand what this means for you. So you can show them the automation by all means. So it does this, this, and this. But what this means for you is that you'll get this output here. So they care about two things. Can this make me money, or can it save me time? If it can do both, happy days, right? That's exactly what it's going to be doing for them. And that's what they're going to spend money on, is the amount of time it saved them and the potential amount of money it's creating them. So for example, the lead gen system, they're saving time and all the prospecting, and they're going to be making a hell of a lot of money from all the leads that are coming through and the meetings they're having and the deals that they're closing. It literally saves two of the biggest problems. That's why I teach it that's why I teach people to sell it. So you're selling the outcome, not the back end. You can, like I say, show them the back end, but you're selling the outcome in the end. On my channel, I've got loads of sales resources. You can use them. You can learn from them, whether it's the live sales calls, whether it's breaking down my sales script, whether it's just breaking down sales psychology, etc. But the thing you want to lead with is the transformation, the how this automation is going to transform their business. Okay. And if you're not leading with that, if you're just leading with the automation, you're not going to be able to sell it, right? It's about this is what it can do for you. This is how it's going to transform you. And this is the results it's going to get you. So sell one solution first, lead gen, baby. Before you even think about selling a 10K SaaS style system, just pick one automation and run the fuck with it. I picked one to be fair, I was doing little bits at the start, and then I decided, no, I'm going to stick with lead gen, and I haven't even moved from it yet. Obviously, I do in the upsell, the proposal generator, but that still comes under a wholesale system. I haven't then gone into, how can I save finance a load of time? How can I save projects a load of time? How can I save business operations a load of time? I just stick with lead gen and sales because that's what I know. And that's the one I pitch the most of. Smaller jobs are gold for learning. I think I've mentioned it before. My first customer I sold my automation for 750 quid, right? That was not worth the amount of time I was putting into it. But the amount I learned from that was absolute gold. I learned a lot about the delivery side of things. I learned a lot about the sales side of things, the operation. Well, mainly, to be fair, I'm picking things out of a hat here. The main thing was the service delivery. If you can get a couple small clients and who trust you, who are happy to sort of stick by you in the way that you sometimes you might not have a full clue what you're doing, but they sort of understand that this might be your first one, and they're happy to sort of stick with you and, how can I explain it? Just help you through it in a way and be patient with you, right? And that's why they're so good for learning and learning the delivery. That's what I've said there. Building trust as well. So I don't just mean building trust with that one prospect, but you're going to be building trust now with everyone else, because you've got the social proof now. You've got, you know yourself it works. You've listened to me this whole time tell you how much this lead gen system works for other businesses and how much it works for you. For me, you now know it works for someone else because you've sold it, implemented it, and you've watched them have success. So now that you've built trust with other people, but you've also built confidence for yourself to go out and build that trust with other people, if that makes sense. Just pure learning for when you're actually ready for building and selling custom projects. So yeah, the smaller ones will just make you learn so much. And then when it comes to actually having custom projects, for example, I'm just implementing a Instagram. It will like and comment on people's Instagram photos based off a hashtag search. Then it will just carry on those comments and basically invite them to DM. So it's still very much it's not like a cold outreach method, but it's inviting that person that it's commented the photos on to actually come into the DMs. And then that's when the human comes in and starts messaging in DMs to try to get them on a call to sell their services. So very custom, I haven't built it before. It's something I've sat down and just had to build myself. So, but to get to that point, I've always had to build these smaller plug and play sort of automations. The next rule is simple lead gen. Okay. When I started, I had no website. I still don't even have a fancy website. If any of you have gone on it, it is just the most basic thing ever. I need to update it. I don't even have a LinkedIn. What I mean by that is obviously I have a LinkedIn, but it's not optimized. I think I've just got in my description that I build automations for people. I've got a holiday that I went on as the cover photo. I haven't even got my company on there. I haven't put my company on there. I haven't got a LinkedIn really. A lot of you, you still message me and you still come to my LinkedIn and connect with me, which is great. But you'll notice that I don't even utilize LinkedIn. I send DMs from there, which is strange because I probably should have it set up, and it is in my plans to set up my LinkedIn properly and have it, focused to my business. But I literally don't, I don't have a LinkedIn, right? So just keep things simple. The reason, speaking of LinkedIn, someone's just messaged me. Just plain cold email and cold DMs. That's what I'm still doing. It's what I've scaled so far with, and it's what I'm still doing now. It's what works. It's what works wonders. It's what works for other people too and other businesses. They're cheap, they're quick, they're effective, especially if you're selling the lead gen system. It is just instant social proof, because a lot of people will go, the reply I get from my system is if the output is anything like this, then absolutely, I'm all ears. In fact, I've just quoted that word for word from a lead I got yesterday. Sorry about me picking my nose as well about that. The thing is to stay consistent. So this is a lesson that I've learned, is that I did a big campaign at the back end of last year. I had a load of leads. I was getting a load of clients over the line. I was delivering the service to all these clients. But I turned the plug off. I stopped outreaching because of all these clients, because I thought I can't deal with this. Guess what happened? I serviced all those clients. I got all that money in, which yes, gave me a bit of a buffer, but my pipeline had dropped. And this is what I was talking about earlier about pipeline retention and pipeline generation. You've got to retain the generation of that pipeline. Otherwise, once you've built the pipeline, once you've sold to them and cleared the pipeline, you need that still influx of leads coming in. Otherwise, your business is going to go down. So I had a month I donutted. And what I mean by donut is because it's got a zero in the middle. And I had a big fat zero month, which wasn't good. I wasn't happy. That few thousand I made, which is just under 20, had been split into two now, right? Because, for example, I halved it because I made zero one month and all that the other month. You had to halve it and suddenly it just doesn't look as good. But if I kept that pipeline going, I could have set myself up for a really, really good quarter, or an over target quarter. My first 5 clients were from generic emails. Okay. So at least first 5, I think I put there. It might have even been more, but I wasn't doing the hyper-personalized outreach. I just did a generic campaign, which still works wonders. I still actually do it, to be fair. I say it works wonders. I just like testing generic against my hyper-personalized one, just so I can show the difference in results. But the generic one still does pretty well. It still gets me at least 3% response rate, which the industry average is 1% to 2%. Whether that's because of my email infrastructure that I use, if you haven't seen it, go look at my videos about how I set up my own email infrastructure with my own dedicated IP. Whether that's because of that and I'm landing in more inboxes, I don't know. But it works wonders still. So I still test it against my new hyper-personalized, because I'm always changing my copy as well. But, if you haven't got the budget, cold email and generic cold email will still work a treat. I've got a couple videos about, or I've just got the template of everything that you can just plug and play in my school community if you want to check that out. Or I've got a video where you just type it out easy. So yeah, I had a solution, which was the cold email lead gen system. I pitched it. I was really passionate about it. I know you guys have seen from my last video, the amount of DMs I got on LinkedIn from the authenticity and the passion I showed in that video. Well, I really, fair play to you for messaging me, and thank you for those who did. We're talking about the passion I had in that video. That's the same sort of passion I bring across in my sales calls. When I talk about this system, yeah, in a way, it sells itself because of the passion that I have for it, because I know it works. And you guys will get there too. Once you've built something that you're really proud of, you can then talk about it on your sales calls, and that passion will come across. It will literally, the energy will come through the screen, and these people will be thinking, crikey, okay. And they'll want they don't just want to buy the automation at that point. They want to buy you. They're buying from you. Okay. And I was always smiling because I love to smile. And I believe it wasn't just the sales skills that got that over the line. It was my passion and my energy that I was bringing on the calls. So again, that's really important. Daily habits. So when you're not making money, what do you think you should be your number one priority? If I'm just to, not show you, even though you just had that on for 10 seconds and probably know what I'm about to say. What do you think the number one priority would be? It's cash, right? You're not making money. I don't care about, but I want to build a nice automation that posts on my LinkedIn for me or whatever. No, the only thing you should be worried about is cash. Get money in. That's literally the number one rule of business is money, right? Get money in. I don't want people on listening to my YouTube or being in my community saying, yeah, I haven't got any clients yet, but look at this automation I built that posts on my LinkedIn for me. How good's this? Or look at this automation I built that scrapes this, and then fuck off. No, you need cash. The number one thing you need is money. That's the number one rule of business. Okay, you haven't got a profit. You haven't got a business if you're not making money. So how do you make money? I've put here at least 80%. When you're at the start, 100%. 100% of your time should be spent generating pipeline. Should be DMing on LinkedIn automatically. It should be automatically sending emails out. It should be pipeline generation, whatever it is. You can post on LinkedIn to try to get some organic traffic, but realistically, just spend a little bit of money on hyper-personalizing emails, spend a little bit of money on your email infrastructure, which is a lot less than my infrastructure, is so much cheaper than everyone else's and even better than everyone else's. Spend a little bit of money on that, spend a little bit of money on your lead scraping, on your LinkedIn Sales Navigator, and start outreaching. You can do that for a month. The best thing about this business with cold email is that you can get, if this is done right, if you send to 10,000 people, it's so simple. 10,000 people, a hyper-personalized campaign, you offer extreme value up front. There's no way you're not getting money in. You're not getting one client. I don't care who you are. You could be in a wheelchair, breathing out of a tube from your neck. You'll still get a client. You will. Okay. So how are you going to do it? How are you going to generate pipeline? Like I said, cold emails and cold DMs. Looms. Okay. Show your face. Smile when you're doing it. It's weird how I'll send a loom to a woman, someone maybe like called Joanne or Tracy, whatever. A woman's replied. When I'm sending the loom, I'm really soft. I don't know why, if it works. I'm soft, I'm smiley, I'm extra polite, and I'm just saying, hi, so this is what you do, I don't know, women like that. I don't know, maybe they do, maybe they don't, I don't know. But it seems to work. And with men, I'm a bit more straight to the point and direct. Telling them what they're going to achieve, stuff like that. So still sort of the same structure of the call. The only different, I don't know why I always do this. Same structure of the call. Anyway, same structure, but different tones, different tonality when I'm speaking. You want to be getting on calls, sending proposals out, all those things. If you're spending time on all these things, looms, follow-ups, calls, proposals, cold emails, cold DMs, all those things will make you money. So you need to treat them as a priority. That should be your number one. Okay. Get off YouTube. All right. Stop watching me right now. Go. Leave. If you're still here, thank you so much. You're a real one. I appreciate it. But too many people just spend too much time watching different people on YouTube. That's not going to help you. You might watch me, who's got like 100 subscribers. Then you might watch someone else who's got 70,000. Then you might watch someone else who's got 30,000. Then you might watch someone else who's got 200. And you might think, you're watching all these people who do things differently and they've got their own experience. The best thing to do is just pick one, learn from them, watch every single video that they do, and then move on and go implement that for yourself. That would be my advice. So, yeah, I don't know why I've put this in here, but I was making 10K months without retainers, which was easy from pure, simple volume outreach. Okay, I get it. So what I'm trying to say is all you need is just to outreach to 10,000 people each month, and you can easily make 10K months without a doubt. Obviously, there was a bit of stress every single month because it was like, this has to work. I haven't made any money. I'm starting on zero. Every month I started on zero, right? And it was a bit stressful. So obviously I was getting retainers now and again. Not many people were taking them. Probably about half people were taking them. But if you get 10 clients in a month, that's exaggerating. You probably, 10 clients in a month is doable. I've done it before, but when you're starting out, people watching this video, I don't want you thinking that it's so easy to get 10 clients in a month. If you gain 3 or 4, giving you $3,000, obviously that's a 10K month easily, but you want to be getting at least half of them, paying you a little monthly fee, and that builds up over the months. People will watch videos, see people doing well, and think, watch YouTube videos, see people doing well, and think, oh, this is so easy, I'm going to do it, and then they don't make any money in a month, and that's it. That's not how it's going to work, I'm afraid. If this is hard, if you want to build a profitable, future-proof business, you've obviously got to do the one-offs, but on top of that is a retainer, and that's just the MSP model. What they're paying for in the one-off is your time to set things up. It's basically a setup fee, right? And they're also paying for the automation. So they're paying for the automation, the sort of logic behind it, but they're also paying for your time to get it set up. So whatever you think is right, do that. I don't think I sell it for less than $3,000 anymore. I don't sell it for less than $3,000. Normally my point now is 3.5. I have gone higher, but you got to sort of find a sweet spot. And at the moment it's 3.5 for me. So all I need is 3 of them and I've made over 10K. It's from a 10,000 people outreach. I just can't explain how easy it is. I keep saying this, that I'm pretty sure I just said a minute ago that it's not easy. If you just stick to the basics and you do a big outreach, you hyper-personalize it, you are following up, you are speaking to people regularly, you're replying to leads really quickly, you're sending proposals, you're taking calls, you will get 3 clients, you will be able to sell it for 3.5, and you will make 10K months. Stack and track, don't really know what that means, so we'll leave that. I don't know why I've put that in there. Can't remember my thought process last night. Client psychology. So this is one thing you need to understand is the way they're thinking. It's not, you need to put yourself in their shoe. Sorry if that's made a bad noise. I just knocked the mic. You need to put yourself in their shoes, the business owner's shoes, the person you're selling this to. They're not buying the tech. They're buying the trust, the outcomes, and the results. So you need to make them trust you. Again, I've spoken a lot about this on my channel before, about, lowering sales resistance and disarming the prospect. And that's just really important in itself. Be presentable, okay? Don't turn up to the call. Don't have your camera off. I've spoken to people before, have the camera off. What? That first call isn't a phone call. It's a meeting. It's a Zoom. Back in the day, you'd have to go meet them and pitch your product in person. Now we have the luxury of the cloud and being able to do everything online. So turn up to the call, be presentable. I don't say suit and tie, but don't come in a hoodie. I think in the sales video, I had a nice jumper on, it was like a cashmere jumper, just a cashmere jumper, It was a nice jumper, right? It wasn't cashmere. I think it was just from M&S. But, just be presentable. Don't turn up in a fucking thing that says, I don't know, I was going to say something rude, but everything that came to my head was too rude for YouTube, for the probably younger audience that are watching. Be polished, polish your shoes. And I'm joking. I don't know what I've put in there polished for. You don't need to polish your shoes. But I think probably what I meant by that is structure. Have a structure to the call. Understand what you're going on there for. Understand, make sure you know what they replied there, make sure you know what their email reply was. Make sure you've looked at their website, understand what they do. Do a little bit of research before the call. I'm not talking 5 minutes before the call. I'm talking that day, that morning. Just make sure you're doing the research on the people, writing a few notes. 10 minutes, that's all it is. Make sure you're setting an agenda at the start of the call. So this is what we're going to go over. This is, I think, what you are interested in. Is that right? And this is what we're going to talk about. Always confirm the meeting. So, hey, John, just confirming your availability for today's meeting at 1 p.m. If they don't reply, you keep following up. Are you joining? Are you joining? And put yourself as the trusted authority. So you're the expert. You're the one that knows what you're on about. Make them trust you. And, any question they'll have, you need to know the answer to it realistically. So normally it's going to be a question on cold email. So make sure you're brushing up on everything to do with cold email, what's good for deliverability, what's bad for it, etc., etc. So you're seen as that trusted authority. To be seen as an expert, you must act as one. Leverage anything. So you're in a world of automation. That's probably why you're watching this video. You only have to build it once, and then you have to keep using that automation. So you can leverage your knowledge of automation. You can build something and then you can keep using it. So whether that's something that you use personally or whether that's something you're wanting to sell, you just have to build it once and then you leverage that time that you spent building it and keep selling it or keep using it. So let's say, for example, what I mentioned earlier, the Instagram automation. I'm now going to hammer out to that industry a load of emails explaining what I've built. I've already built it once. I can now plug it into loads of people. Not enough people do this, and I don't understand why, and not enough people talk about it. You've now built an automation for someone that's completely bespoke. Your next idea after getting everything signed over the line and have it implemented into their business is to go, okay, what industry was that? Scrape every single motherfucking lead that is in that industry, in that geography that you want to reach out to, and you are going to hammer emails out to them explaining what you've done, social proof, etc., everything. Saying you can play with it if you want, you can have it for free, I'll give you the blueprint. Obviously the blueprint's going to come in a load of JSON code that they're not going to have a clue what to do with. Just use it and sell it to loads of others and just hammer out emails to it. That's the beauty of it. Once it's built once, you can go and speak to loads of other people and see if they're interested. And that's what I'll talk about. That could be sort of an extension to referrals, right? Mention other clients. So one client that we did this. You're building trust now. So actually, yeah, one client mentioned that. I was speaking to someone the other day, one of my clients who had this automation that helped them with this. Anyway, I was speaking to them about that, and always refer back to the results that got there. So yeah, one client actually did this and got so many results from it, right? If you're in my community, you can leverage me. Everyone messages me in there. I have DMs constantly with everyone. They're asking me questions, So everyone in that community is leveraging me, which is great. Or if you're in anyone else's much worse community, I must have been in a cheeky mood when I was writing this last night. Leverage them, message them. I'm sure they'll let you DM them and you can speak to them in the DMs. But leverage me on YouTube right now and the people watching. Drop me a comment. Oh, my camera did shut off finally. But let's hopefully get this done. There's not long left, so I can't remember what I was saying, but just leverage the people around you. If you're in communities, speak to the people in the community, speak to the expert that has obviously convinced you to join that community, and message them. If you're in mine, message me. A lot of people already do. Or if you're in someone else's, message them and just leverage them because they're the one with the knowledge and they're the reason you joined. So that's it. I suppose I don't really care if you're just getting started or you're 6 months in. If you follow these 8 rules that I've just laid out for you, you'll be able to build a real profitable AI business quicker than anyone else. So if you've got any questions, drop them down below. Or if you're just starting right now, let me know. If this video has convinced you to start, let me know. Let me know everything. I'm probably the only YouTuber that replies to every comment. Drop it a like. Subscribe if you're new. Check out my school community where I talk about all this and how to do it in much greater depth. But yeah, thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.